Прийшли окупанти до нас в Україну, форма новенька, воєнні машини, та трохи поплавився їх інвентар. Байрактар, Байрактар. Російські танкісти сховались в кущі, щоб лаптя посорбати довбані щі, та трохи в ущах перегрівся навар. Байрактар, Байрактар. Зі сходу припхались до нас барани, для восстановлення великої страни, найкращий пастух баранячих отар. Байрактар, Байрактар. Їх доводи, всяке озброєння, різне, ракети, потужні машини залізні, у нас на всі доводи є коментар. Байрактар, Байрактар. Вони захопити хотіли нас зразу, і ми зачаїли на орків образу, з бандитів російських робить примар. Байрактар, Байрактар. Російська поліція справи заводить, на вбивцю рашистів ніяк не знаходить, хто ж винен, що в нашому полі глухар. Байрактар, Байрактар. Веде пропаганду кремлівський урод, слова пропаганди ковтає народ, тепер нове слово знає їх цар.
Hello, everyone. I'm the Enforcer, and I'm accompanied by Enforcer Matt.
And hello, everybody, and welcome to our fireside chat. This is quite an unusual stream for us, and hopefully, this can kind of make up for what happened last night, which was a hell of a stream last night. We didn't even have one.
And I gotta say, that was actually crazy for us, and that was the first time ever in channel history where we weren't able to run one of our usual scheduled streams. From what we were able to collect, it appears that the YouTube servers were having some massive issues last night, and because of that, it never allowed our stream to actually go live. The furthest we could get to was a stream starting soon, or a stream scheduled like screen, but we could never actually get the stream going live. We literally tried for 40 straight minutes to get that stream running, and at the end of it all, 40 minutes later, we still did not have a running stream. So this stream was set up so that way we could recap what happened last night and apologize to everyone once again that that happened. Of course, we are live. We are okay. A lot of people last night were putting comments out on my video saying, "Oh my God, I hope they haven't been killed," or anything like that. We are fine. We are alive 100%. That's why we're here right now, and we just want y'all to know, just in case y'all didn't see the community posts on the channel page, that it was nothing more than massive server issues on YouTube's end. So hopefully that doesn't happen again. We'll, of course, be running our usual stream at 10 p.m. Eastern tonight. And this stream right here is literally just going to be a fireside chat. We're going to talk to all of y'all, maybe cover a little bit of the day 114 news since there is just so much of it. And then after that, we're going to stay on here for about an hour in total, and then we'll be hopping off so that way we can make sure to get to everything else we have to do today, like college and so on, and also getting the other stream ready to go tonight. And then we'll be trying to cover the day 114 and the day 115 news as best as possible tonight, although we're going to have, oh my God, like 100 pieces of news to cover. We're going to have to skip over some of the day 114 stuff that isn't really important. But with that, we're really just going to talk to y'all. That's literally the whole point. We're here. And so on top of that, again, I just got to say I'm super glad that the problem's been resolved, because if the problem wasn't resolved, we wouldn't be able to run another stream today, and then that would be a very irregular schedule. So with that, I'm going to let Matthew take over for a second and maybe give us a question or two from the chat.
All right, and before we get to any of the questions from the chat or any of the super chats, we've actually had some already. So thank you to all for your support. For anybody asking, last night, from what we can gather, just to be a little more specific, was YouTube was having a server issue in our region, and we couldn't connect our stream from OBS to YouTube itself. We couldn't maintain a stable connection. So we're still not really sure exactly what happened, but that is our best guess. So we're glad everybody's here today, and hopefully we don't have that issue again tonight. So, real quick, I just want to recognize a $23 super chat from Gary Robbins. He's one of our channel regulars and viewers, and thank you very much, Gary. We appreciate the support during our very unusual stream in the middle of the day. And also, we had a $2 super chat come in from Ron Anderson, who said, "We're glad to have you back."
Well, I thank you so much for being glad that we are back. I hated what happened last night. I run these streams, and I pride myself on making sure that these streams are delivered daily at a set time, covering the same sets of news every single day. And the fact that it wasn't able to happen last night disturbed me a lot. I was really getting into I was getting pretty down, honestly, because after 40 minutes of trying, it was just hopeless at that point. We had tried every single solution we could, and nothing was fixing the problem. And so I just told Matthew, I was like, well, I guess that's all we can do. We've tried everything, and with that, we're just going to have to tell him that there's no stream tonight for the first time ever. So that was honestly infuriating to me, and it just aggravated the hell out of me that something like that happened to our stream. But it's great. It's great to know that everyone understands, what happened and is okay with it. Because one thing that always worries me is that stuff that's out of our control like that, viewers will get pissed about and then leave. Because they think that's something we did, or we're just being unreliable. And I promise y'all, we tried as much as we could last night, literally almost for 40 straight minutes nonstop, to try and get this thing running. And at the end of it, it just still did not run. So, with that, it's man. I mean, like, honestly, I think I got some trauma from it, but getting past being dramatic and all. It was. I don't even know where to go with it. But I will say this, though. Even though this is just a fireside chat and is going to go on for a short while, I am going to cover a little bit of news that was from day 114 that we weren't able to cover last night. So I'm not going to cover all of the bits of news that we have. I'm just going to go over the, I guess you could say, larger parts of it. Starting off in Donetsk, we actually saw that the Ukrainians made some ground and were actually able to make it into the Kyiv district, where we actually heard large firefights within that suburb of Donetsk city, meaning that the Ukrainian armed forces have breached the Donetsk's defensive trenches right outside of the city and have made it inside as of yesterday. Here's some of that footage to show that. You hear the firefights out there right down this hill. You can also see a fire burning over here near a row of houses. You see even more explosions occurring, most likely grenade blasts and such. Looks like someone has just fired up a flare. But the Ukrainians have actually breached the DPR's defensive perimeter around the city, and they're now making it into the suburbs, which is unheard of, because I've been saying for a long time neither side is going to make any ground in this area because they're just heavily defended, and it'd be almost impossible to do anything meaningful there. But somehow the Ukrainians have pushed the DPR and the Russian forces back around a mile, or a little less, because they were already at the Donetsk International Airport, and they've now made it all the way into the Kyiv district, which is unbelievable. Honestly, I'm floored by that. And we can also see more pictures from these battles in Donetsk, where you can see all the smoke billowing up from where the current battlefield is, and you can see it's actually making it into the more built-up areas of the Kyiv suburb of the city of Donetsk, which does let us know that the Ukrainian forces are apparently making massive headways there, which were not expected, because no one thought that either side would be able to actually punch straight through the center of the, I guess you could say, modern Siegfried line, or the Maginot line. Yet the Ukrainians have managed to do that yesterday. So that was mind-blowing to me. We'll, of course, be following that up today on day 115. But this was impressive to me. Another bit of important news is that the Ukrainians have said that they're inching closer to Kherson every day. Apparently, they covered another 1.5 miles, putting them at around 5 to 4 miles outside of the city of Kherson. And I believe the governor of the Mykolaiv Oblast has called on all the citizens of Kherson to flee the city, because according to him, the fighting will reach the city streets very soon. Another huge development, because not only are the Ukrainians threatening Donetsk city, which has pretty much been considered a Russian city since the start of this war, they're also threatening one of Russia's major prizes and crown jewels of their southern front, which is Kherson itself. So in those two perspectives, it appears that the Ukrainians are starting to make massive gains. Well, they're very small, actually. Like, the amount of ground they covered yesterday alone was rather small, only about 1 mile or 1.5 miles on each front. But the big picture of that is that they're moving forward at a pretty fast pace. Just to do that in one day alone, you could see maybe massive fights occurring within the streets of Kherson and within the actual downtown of Donetsk within the next 2 weeks, perhaps. And maybe even the Ukrainians pushing through the city, or at least creating a very contentious battleground within them. And if they're able to do that, that's going to be huge, because that means that the Russians are now going to be focusing on a defensive war, trying to protect their assets and cities they already have now, and the Ukrainians are going to be on the offensive. So we might see the Severodonetsk front entirely collapse, just because the Russians will have to be pretty much practicing some damage control along the rest of the front lines and making sure that the units elsewhere are well enough supplied that they can at least maintain a defensive position. So that's pretty impressive news. Also, we had the highest amount of documented firefights occurring within Severodonetsk yesterday, which showed that I guess you could say the battle had definitely ramped up, at least over the past 24 hours on day 114, and both sides were trying to slaughter each other. Like, there's no other way to describe it. The videos were unbelievable. I'm not going to go over any of them here on this stream. I'll save that for later on tonight, because I'm sure the day 115 news is going to complement day 114's news. But we did get those 3 pieces of news. I would say those were the largest bits of news that we got from the front line today. And surprisingly, there was nothing that happened in Kharkiv all the way down to Lyman. Nothing happened at all that was on film. So we couldn't talk about that whatsoever, because there was nothing that happened. And that's a rare thing as well, because every once in a while we see some activity happening in Kharkiv, some near Izium, or some near Liman, but we didn't see anything. So it looks like the Russians have completely, once again, abandoned the Liman and Popasna fingers. By and large, the Popasna finger did have a little bit of activity, but it now looks like they're focusing on a direct assault on the city of Severodonetsk, and now they're going to have to start focusing on their defensive positions around the rest of the cities, specifically Donetsk and Kherson. So with that, that's actually about all the news I have to cover today. If y'all do have questions, feel free to ask them. We will answer as many as we can. But those were really the major highlights, and I just wanted to make sure that although we aren't going to be able to run a proper 114 stream, I just wanted to make sure to cover it so that way, just in case if this is y'all's only source of news, like a lot of people say this channel is, y'all could get the major talking points of yesterday's war, and hopefully that'll make today's war even better once we start collecting that news here in a couple of hours. And so with that, I'm going to hand it back over to Matthew. We're going to answer some of y'all's questions for as long as we feel, and then we might go back to covering some other stuff. So with that, what do we got, Matthew?
Okay, and real quick, I just want to address something that some of you might be wondering about. We did, in fact, get some super chat support and some live chat questions last night. So I think the fair thing to do would be to cover those tonight during our normal segment, so that way anybody that put any support in last night isn't cheated out of an answer to their question in case they're not on, right now midday. So we'll save those for this afternoon, but we have had quite some questions right now from the super chats and the live chat. I've got all of them here in the spreadsheet. So first up, we have a $5 donation from AD Finlayson Guitars, who says, "Hello from the UK. It's a shame you're not on this time every day so I could comment. Keep up the good work and cheers from Ash."
Hey, well, I thank you so much for the support. And also, I hate that we can't run at this normal time, but as you can see right now, we only have 1,800 live viewers. And so based off of that figure, I can tell that a large portion of our audience isn't able to watch at this time of the day, because I believe around 75% to 70% of my viewers are from the United States, and running my stream at 10 p.m. Eastern time here in America usually allows for most people who are working day jobs to get off of their shifts and come home, and then they can watch the news. So sadly, I don't think I'd be able to do this. I like the idea of it, but on top of that, that kind of throws a wrench into our daily schedule, because our streams actually run 24 hours since the first hour of the war, and the first hour of the war happened at 10 p.m. Eastern time on February 24th, pretty much to explain that the best way. And so the streams would run 24 hours after that. So every single night, we are literally reliving hour one of the war that happened on February 24th, 24 hours later. If you see what I'm saying. So we're trying to follow the 24-hour schedule as best as we can, and literally cover every 24-hour block of the war as best as possible, although that didn't happen at all last night. But that's something that we want to do, but sadly, if we did it now, like during this part of the day, I don't think that'd be too possible, because right now, day 115 is kind of in its midway point. It hasn't actually concluded right now. And so I would kind of be reporting on day 114 and day 115's news combined, in a way. So I hope that answers the question, but I am glad that you were able to hop on this stream, which happened right now. And this is a rare occurrence, sadly. It's not going to happen like this often, but it is cool to see that you did get on. And of course, we thank you so much for the support, and we hope you're enjoying this little stream we're running right here. And so with that, we're on to the next question.
And also, I want to say that it's just so impressive to me that everybody is understanding. Because obviously people could get irritated that we didn't have a stream last night, and obviously it was out of our control. We couldn't help it because it was something that we sort of out of our control. But I appreciate everybody's understanding and just support through it all. And hopefully we don't have the same problem tonight, because that would be horrible. But anyways, we have a question from Jungle Gym AB9AB. Who says, "How many viewers were in the lobby last night before the crash?" And I can't remember, Enforcer, but I think it was about, on the 5th stream we started, about 1,000, I think.
Yeah, we I mean, like, I lost count of how many streams we actually tried to start. I think we tried about 17 different kinds of solutions to the problem, and none of them ever produced anything different. All of them ended up with the same result. But I think that we had about 1,000 something people waiting in a room last night before the stream started, and then sadly they just all had to get dropped because there was no way for us to run the stream. And then on top of that, people were sending in super chats, and that worried me a lot because I always feel obligated to answer and address everyone's super chat and recognize them for their support. But because the stream wasn't even running on our end for us to unmute our microphones and talk, we weren't able to address anyone's super chats rather than through the live chat itself in the waiting room. So, I made sure to cut out that stream as fast as possible. And of course, just for those of y'all who did send in a super chat last night, I want y'all to know we will be covering those in tonight's stream. Every time someone does send in any kind of support to this channel to help us keep running, we're always going to recognize it. No matter when or where or how, we're going to find a way to recognize everyone who's helping our channel to stay alive and keep running. So we will be answering those tonight. I have seen Kaltenberg in here. And you did send in a pretty decent amount of support last night in the waiting rooms alone, and we will make sure to get onto that later tonight and answer those as well. So, with that, I hope that answers the question. Well, addresses the comment in a way, and with that, we're going to move on to the next one.
And let's see here. It looks like we have another $20 super chat from Gary Robbins. Thank you, Gary. You're being very generous. And hopefully you can join us again for this evening's stream as well. I think you're in there pretty much every single day. So you're a channel regular. You know how this usually goes. And I'm sure this feels kind of weird to y'all, kind of like it does to us. Running a stream in the middle of the day, it feels kind of off kilter a little bit. I don't know how the enforcer feels about it, but it feels kind of weird running a stream right in the middle of the day like this.
This feels absolutely bizarre to me because there's none of our normal stuff is going on. Like we have, like once 4:30 my time hits, I have a set schedule as to everything I'm doing for the day and how it's run. Like I even drink coffee at the exact same time every single day, and so I've had none of that lead up into this one right now. And there's been none of that. We haven't even compiled the news or anything for the day. All of this is from 114. By the way, the link to this map is in the description below. So if you do want to see all of the markers for day 114, they are available. But this feels bizarre to me because nothing that I normally do on my schedule has happened today, and so I'm just sitting here chit-chatting, and I'm not really covering any news or anything like that. It's bizarre to me, but I hope y'all understand. And also, we're just here to once again let everyone know who maybe didn't get into the community posts last night, which by the way are always published on the channel, and that's how we notify everyone of anything that's happening off stream. We did put stuff out last night saying that we were going to run this midday stream, and also today's stream at night is going to run on schedule. So if y'all ever see that my stream isn't running, I just really butchered that word, but if you see that the stream isn't running and you're wondering why, go to the YouTube channel and go to the community page, because usually within minutes of there being a massive problem on this channel with a live stream, I'll have a statement out saying what it was and what we're going to be doing in response to it, because we don't want anyone to be left in the dark. But with that, I hope that addresses the question, and I thank you very much for the support. And with that, we're going to move on to the next one.
And you know, when we started the stream just a moment ago, I wasn't sure how many people we were going to have watching, but we actually have about 2,200 people watching, which is higher than I would have expected. And also, we have quite a few live chat questions too. So let me speed up just a little bit here so we can make sure that we hit on all these questions. So up next, it looks like we have a $20 super chat from the Fast and the Dead, who says, Enforcer Matt, is there a crowdfunder that you can point to for equipment like the Lithuanians did?
Sadly, there isn't that I know of. And on top of that, a lot of people are always asking questions, and I've seen this one repeated a lot, and I think it's people trying to bring shame to this channel somehow. But I've seen a lot of questions like, why aren't you doing like weapons and body vests, and why aren't you supporting United 24? And the answer to those questions is because there's no workable EIN number for United 24 on the YouTube platform, and also YouTube doesn't allow us as a YouTube channel to support any sort of fundraisers or nonprofits that are trying to create I guess you could say, implements of war. Not all of them are weapons. Some of them are bulletproof vests, but we're not allowed to do that as a YouTube channel. And we can get into a lot of trouble for trying to do that. And also, GuideStar, which is the program that we have to go through to raise any funds on YouTube, how we do on the Sunday night fundraisers, they don't allow any of those kinds of organizations in their register as well. So we can't support any of those fundraisers. We'd love to. But sadly, I don't know of any kind of fundraisers like that outside of our scope either at the moment. So unfortunately, I can't really answer that question all too well. I would say the best thing we could do as a channel is continue to support our humanitarian nonprofits that we've been doing this entire time, and they've been doing incredibly well. And so with that, I hope that does answer the question. And once again, I thank you all so much for the support. And with that, we're going to move on to the next one.
And let's see here. It looks like we have a $20 super chat from Edward Curl and a $10 donation from M288. So they don't leave comments. And as we always say, thank you very much for the support. And we'd love to answer questions, but thank you just for the pure support. And with that being said, as the enforcer always likes to say, we are on to our next one, which is from Paul Smalzer, who puts in a $10 donation and says, I had withdrawals. Dang orcs probably hacked YouTube, desperate to keep you off the air.
I hate to hear when people say they have withdrawals. Like, y'all don't know how much it pained me last night when I was responding to everyone's comments, because I hearted a lot of comments last night after I put up the posts, and everyone was saying, oh my gosh, like my night's ruined. I can't get on the Enforcer show. That really hurt me a lot, because I never really think about it all too much, but a lot of viewers that watch this channel rely on these streams nightly for their news, and they find this as a fun thing to watch. You know, although it's a war and that's not necessarily the funnest thing on earth, they love the little community we have. They love our show, how we present it. And when I hear that it pains people that we're not running our usual nightly streams, that hurts me more than anything, because I'm sitting here thinking, oh my God, I'm like, these people counted on me for news and I can't even deliver it tonight. And of course it was out of my control. You know, there wasn't really anything I could do about it. And we tried to do something about it for 40 minutes. But it hurts me a lot whenever people say that they missed the night stream and it really put a gap in their nightly schedule, because I hate to do that to people. And, you know, of course, I understand that a lot of people count on us for the news. And it just made me feel really bad. So we're going to leave it at that. But I do thank you for the support. And do not fret. We will have a stream up and running tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, even if I have to become the internet myself. I will literally radiate internet broadband from my body, and we'll connect to the internet through there. We will run a stream regardless tonight. And so with that, we're going to move on to the next question, but I have to thank you once again for the support.
And let's see here. Next up, we have a $20 donation from Kaltenberg, one of the viewers we just mentioned a moment ago, who is a channel legend, by the way, who says, good morning.
Well, good morning, Kaltenberg, and we will answer. We know that you did send in super chats, and I also didn't want to leave you out here. If you would, Matthew, if you would like to bring up the super chats they sent in the waiting rooms last night, if you do have those up, that would be fine. But if not, we can address those later tonight. I just want to make sure that we give Kaltenberg the availability of options.
So yes, since we do have Kaltenberg here with us in the stream, we can go ahead and cover those. And hopefully that's okay with Kaltenberg. If you want us to cover them again during tonight's stream, we're totally fine with that as well. Because like we said earlier, this is kind of a weird stream at the moment. So let's see here. One of the super chats last night from Kaltenberg was for $20, and he said, Slava Ukraine.
Slava Ukraini. And with that, I thank you for the support, Kaltenberg. And we're going to move on to the other one that you sent in as well.
And let's see here. The other one was another $20 super chat who said, keep doing what you're doing, Team Enforcer.
And Kaltenberg, I gotta say, I know you're here right now, and these are in past tense. These are from last night. But of course, we always try our best to keep doing what we're doing. That's why we're here right now, because we are never going to stop these streams about the war until the war is over. And so as long as I'm breathing, and as long as my internet connection actually well, it wasn't the internet connection, as long as the YouTube servers are actually working and not sputtering out like they were last night, we will always be running these streams, and we will always be doing exactly what we've done since day one of this war. And so I thank you so much for the support, Kaltenberg. And also, I thank you so much for the actual verbal support as well, because it does mean a lot to get encouraged to do what we do. Because there's, of course, a lot of bots out there and stuff that don't like what we do. And there's just a whole bunch of misguided people out there who, just support the Russians and hate Ukraine. And so they just crap on this as well. But I thank you so much once again. And it means a lot to us. And with that, we're going to move on to the next question.
All right, and up next we have a $20 super chat from Ray P, who says, Enforcer, keep up the great work. There's definitely a need for your coverage on the war. You always deliver an honest view.
Well, I thank you so much for the support, and that is something that I find very refreshing to hear, that people still think, well, I'm glad that almost everyone thinks that I still give an honest view on this war. And I know that that's caused some problems some nights, because sometimes I say things that aren't necessarily what I guess you could say what people prefer to hear, because sometimes I just say things as they are. Like if one side's losing Severodonetsk, which they aren't right now, I'll say they're losing it. If something happens, I'll say, hey, that wasn't really right. I try and report the best I can. Of course, I'm pro-Ukrainian. I'm not going to make any pretense that I'm not. And so a lot of the things I phrase are, of course, positive when looking at a Ukrainian soldier and negative when looking at a Russian one. But when actually looking at the situation across the front and what's happening, I always take an unbiased approach and just explain what I think is going to happen. Because it would be stupid. It would really be stupid for me and my pro-Ukrainian merits to sit here and then go, oh, I'm just going to spin the war where the Ukrainians are always winning. Because sometimes they aren't. And it's very important to let people know when they aren't, because if I sit there and say, oh, they're going to hold Popasna just fine, and then they blow through and they take the T-1302 highway, the Russians do tomorrow, that's going to throw in a whole bunch of gaps. And you might as well just tell the truth from the very start with stuff like that. And so I thank you so much for the support, and I thank you for telling us that that you do believe that we are unbiased and try and report the best way we can. Because we really do try. Although I am pro-Ukrainian, I always try and keep an unbiased perspective of what's actually happening on the ground. And so with that, I thank you so much once again for the support. And it's always wonderful to get support from all of our viewers, even at such a weird time, and even with what happened last night, because it was horrific what happened to us last night. I feel traumatized from that as much as y'all do, probably, maybe even more. But with that, we're on to the next question.
All right, and up next here, it looks like we have a $10 super chat from Smarzig, who says, my question was, what are the chances that America will donate to Ukraine its aging Black Hawk helicopters?
Oh, that's a tough one, because we know that the U.S. has sent Blackhawks all around the world to many different countries that have bought them. I mean, like, hell, some people didn't even buy them. Afghanistan's got a couple, for Pete's sake. But I think that they may send some over to Ukraine, but the problem is that a lot of Ukrainian pilots, helicopter pilots, aren't trained on Western helicopters and how they operate. So there would, of course, be a little bit of a training gap there that they would have to cover before they could use the helicopters. But I think that it would be on the table if it wasn't for that one problem alone, the lack of training. So with that, I hope that does answer the question. I really think it's more of a training issue. If the Ukrainians can overcome that training hurdle, I think it's very well within the possibility that the U.S. would send some of those over. But then the other question is, how effective would they be? Because we see that, by and large, both sides aren't using helicopters to transport infantry anymore. They're almost always using them in actual combat roles. And so sending over Blackhawks, which are nothing more than a utilitarian transport helicopter, I'm not really sure if that would fit the kind of doctrine that both sides are having to face right now. But with that, I hope that does answer the question, and I thank you once again so much for the support. And with that, we're going to move on to the next question.
And real quick, just to answer a question out of the live chat, I saw Mamba Mentality, say, is this the new yes, Mamba. We saw Mamba Mentality say, is this the new time? And no, this is actually just a temporary thing. In case anybody wasn't here earlier to hear it, we're doing this stream basically to make up for what happened last night with the glitch. So this is sort of just an unusual sort of one-off thing. But I don't know, maybe if it's popular, maybe the Enforcer will consider making it maybe a less than temporary thing. I'm not sure, but we'll have to give that some thought. And I also noticed something else, and Enforcer, I want to ask you, what time is it right now in Russia?
The time right now in Russia, I believe... Ooh, that's a tough one. Let me just pull that up, because I'm not actually sure about the direct time zone translations. time, and there's multiple time zones in Russia, time in Moscow. So we'll go over Moscow time, which I believe is also St. Petersburg time. It is 9:32 p.m. at night over there. So this is actually about the time we would be starting our stream in Central Time, and it's that time over there in Russia right now. So I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, and I guess because I was asking that question because we're noticing that there's hardly any bots in the chat right now, and maybe the sort of troll army that Russia hires maybe has offered the shift or something. I don't know, but it's like hardly any bots in the chat, which is really a good thing.
They're plastered on vodka right now, probably, man. They're probably like those soldiers that were on that front line with like vodka in all of their pockets and stuff. Oh boy. But I mean, like, really though, we aren't seeing any bots, which is surprising to me. I'm looking over here at the live chat, and I see a lot of people saying all kinds of things, but I don't see a single bot. Now, I have seen some people complaining that we're not going over to the news, and to those people, I don't understand. I don't even know what's up with that. But anyways, we're on to the next question.
All right, and next up here, we have a very generous $50 super chat from DC Williams, who says, 1, I had to back off the money at some point, and 2, the operator gave you all a shout out yesterday afternoon. A nice shout out too. Later.
Well, I thank you so much for the support, DC, and it's perfectly fine. I understand that everyone does have to always make sure that their pocketbooks and checkbooks are all squared away and make sure not to do anything too extreme. So I completely understand, but we thank everyone so much for their support. And I thank you so much, DC Williams, for making sure that we can continue on these streams, because it's through support, you know, like you. I sound like PPS right now, but it's through y'all's support that the channel keeps running. But of course, it's always wonderful to get support to keep this thing going. And I thank you so much for being a longtime viewer, because you've been around for ages. Also, another thing is that Operator Starsky has been giving our channel a pretty decent amount of shout outs. And hopefully that brings in more people, which helps on our Sunday fundraisers. Because at the end of the week, my main goal is to just bring in viewers for the Sunday night fundraisers, and I'm already looking at making a new video. It's going to be on Browns Ferry. I'll already know that, but it's going to be really good, and I'm already finding out ways to make it extremely good compared to what our original plan was. My face won't be revealed on this video, but give it another, I believe, 23,000 subscribers, and I will show my face at 100K. And it'll be a huge reveal. We're going to make it a massive deal, and we're probably going to start working on that very soon. But it's going to be fun, and hopefully, you know, speaking of which, the support and the viewership will go up for the Sunday fundraisers. But with that, I thank you once again, DC, for the support. It helps us out a great deal, and we're greatly appreciative to everyone who helps out this channel. And with that, we are on to the next question.
All right, and up next, it looks like we have a $20 super chat from Pascal, who says, I've discovered your channel a couple of days ago, and I've been ever since hooked. You're doing great and important work here. Greetings from Switzerland and Slava, Ukraine.
Well, I thank you so much for the support, and it's really cool to hear that you just found this a few days ago. We have a lot of old-time viewers who've been watching this thing forever, and then there's a couple of new-time viewers that come through, and then they also start watching it and making it a part of their nightly schedule. And to all of you, I am so honored that y'all find this to be the streams that y'all want to watch. Like right now, we're not even covering the news, and we have almost 3,000 people in here. And that's honestly impressive to me that everyone just has rallied around the Lee Spring Army as a community. And we all sit on here and we're just a group, you know, like no matter what we do or when we do it, we're always together. We're always, you know, just having a good time. And I think that's great. And I'm glad that Pascal, you're able to join us in this community, although you just joined a few days ago. So welcome to the Lee Spring Army. And as I always give the speech to everyone, as soon as you join these streams and watch it for more than one day as a member of this here Lee Spring Army. And so I hope you support the Sunday night fundraiser, which will be tomorrow, by the way. And we'll also be running our normal stream tonight, just for everyone to know. But of course, I thank you so much for the support, and it helps us to keep on running, even during these difficult times. And with that, we are on to the next question.
All right, here, and let's see. I did put up a poll to ask people whether or not you believe the Russian bots are asleep right now, so I'll be interested to see what people say about that. Personally, me, I think they're asleep right now, so that's a good thing. So hopefully they don't show up all of a sudden and I don't jinx it. But let's see here. Our next super chat is from the Fast and the Dead again, who puts in another $20 super chat and says, any chance of the U.S. sending some of their old 5-inch 127 millimeter naval shells that could be sabotaged, or maybe modified, he meant to say, to fit the 152 millimeter artillery that the Ukrainians have run out of ammunition for. I understand there is a stockpile in Slava, Ukraine.
I think there could be a way, but at the same time, 127 millimeter versus 152 millimeter is a massive caliber difference. If you put those shells side by side, they're not even going to look similar for the most part. But we can, of course, pull that up and take a look. Let's see, 100. What was the name of that one again? Let me take a look. Where was that? 127 millimeter versus 152 millimeter. Let's see if we can get a picture of these shells side by side. It's not. Hang on. Let me 127 millimeter shell. So here's a 127 millimeter shell. Well, actually, here's a better picture, because this gives us a little bit of context here with the size of the guy. So these are 5-inch shells, and you can see them right here. They look about to be 3 feet tall, at least the actual shell itself. And then we take a look at a 152 millimeter shell. For the 152 millimeter howitzers of the Russians, and maybe we can get some scale here. This is a 152 millimeter shell. It looks like it's being used by... Well, yeah, actually, this was taken straight out of an Su-152, so that kind of makes sense. And although it's a very old tank at that, and it's from World War II, the 152 millimeters is 152 millimeters. And so there you can get the scale of 152 millimeters with a German soldier, and then 127 with a American sailor. Honestly, they look the same, really. Of course, the actual width of them is different. But by and large, maybe there's a way to modify them where they could be fired out of 152 millimeter. But then again, I'm not really an expert on that kind of stuff, and I think that'd have to be left up to someone in the Department of Defense. But I do thank you for the support, and I hope that this little delve kind of helps to give an answer to it a little bit better. But with that, we're going to move on to the next question. I'm seriously considering, because we're getting so many super chats right now, and we should be putting a cutoff on these.
Yeah, maybe so, because we're getting quite a few here, and it looks like, let's see, my spreadsheet is not the way it usually is, because I'm trying to save the ones from last night, so I can't get an accurate count. But it looks like we have somewhere in the neighborhood of 20-something questions and live chat questions to get to.
Yeah, we're going to have to put a cutoff on these. I thank you all so much for the support. It's wonderful and it's incredible. But in the sake of making sure that I can recognize everyone and answer their questions if y'all have any, we're going to have to be putting a cutoff on the super chats on this short stream right here. So we're going to answer everyone's questions who has put one in. But for everyone else, please make sure to save your super chats for the normal stream that'll be coming on at 10 p.m. Eastern tonight, because we will, of course, be going over our usual news, and we'll also be answering everyone's questions there. And I don't want y'all to throw in super chats here and then be gypped because we won't be able to get to them, because we only have about maybe 20 minutes or 30 minutes left to be able to answer everyone's questions with. And so with that, we're going to move on to the next question.
All right, and up next we have a $50 super chat from Michael Hudkins, who says, Enforcer, Matt missed you guys last, searched my iPad for an hour trying to find you. I logged in today and found out why. So, Slava Ukraine.
Well, I thank you so much for the support, Michael, and I hate that you didn't see the community post. I think it came out around the time that you were getting done looking around on the iPad, but we were trying as best we could to get the stream up, and I hate that that happened, because I know a lot of people count on these streams for their news, and so it, you know, of course, if you can ask Matthew last night, because we were both in the same house, you know, just in different rooms. I was getting really distraught and disturbed over the stream not being able to run, and I was getting pissed as all get out over here, trying to get the thing running. So I'm very sorry for that, but we did try our best, and I'm glad that you have forgiven us, and that we will be running our normal stream tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern time, and of course our Sunday night fundraiser once again at a usual time. So with that, I hope that addresses the question, and well, really the comment, and of course, we thank you for the huge support, Michael. And with that, we are on to the next question.
And just so everybody knows, that way nobody feels like they're being ignored right now, because everything's sort of out of order in the spreadsheet, I'm really occupied trying to make sure I don't miss anything. So if you're tagging me in a question or something and I don't respond, trust me, I'm not trying to ignore you or anything like that. It's just I'm a little distracted, so I'll try to respond if I can. But as you know, we'll be back to normal tonight. So Just bear with us. It's kind of a strange stream. So next up, we have a $9 super chat from Raven7 who says, thanks for all the continuous updates. It's a hell of a lot of work, I guess. Hiram Slava.
Well, I thank you so much for the support. It's wonderful for me to be able to hear that a lot of people enjoy what we do, and we are never going to stop. As long as we have people who watch these streams and support us and help us to keep these things running, these streams will run until the very final day of this war. I don't care how far away that is, we will keep them running and we'll keep the lights on here. So I thank you so much for the support, and it will help us to make sure that we can keep on doing what we do. Honestly, I find it a little bit funny every time I hear a super chat like that, just for everyone to know, and everyone's like, thank you so much, keep doing what you do. I'm always thinking in my head, well, with that support, we will be able to keep doing what we're doing, because, you know, they're asking, like, those super chats are always asking for us to keep on going. And then, of course, they're sending in the support to keep us going. I'm like, well, you know, we'll be able to keep going now because we'll be able to, of course, pay for our college, pay our bills, and keep everything going. So with that,
Enforcer, do you see that in the chat?
wait a minute.
Do you see
Oh,
that? Oh my
what?
God.
We've got the Cambot back. We have the Cambot, but it's
It's
plugging our merch.
enforcerstore.com.
It's plugging our merch. What is
Oh
this?
my
This is
goodness.
insane, honestly. Matthew, I'm glad you pointed that out because I have never seen anything like this before. Oh my
That's
god.
something else right there. The Cambot has changed names.
Cambot can stay as long as it's doing that. That's hilarious to me. But I'm completely I'm completely blown away by that because I haven't been looking at the live chat this whole time. I've just been sitting here talking, and I looked over and I saw a Cambot looking thing with the same emojis and stuff, but it's plugging our merch store. That's hilarious. But anyways, with that, we're going to move on to the next question. I thank you so much to the viewer who's doing that because that was the funniest thing ever. And with that, we're on
And
to the
they're
next one. Huh?
and even though it's been saying I'm not a bot like a traditional bot would say, I've never seen a bot say, "Hey, up, you're welcome." I've never heard such a polite bot. So thank you for stopping by. You're definitely not the average bot. So we're good to have you, or glad to have you. More like it. I'm messing up big time there.
Dude, you know,
So
usually
let's see.
usually we have to install the bots, you know, like to get them running like the Dino bot. Wait a minute, no, it's not Dino bot.
Yeah.
What's this thing on the stream that's like always killing people?
It's it's slipping my mind there for a minute. Let's see
Nightbot.
here. What is it?
Nightbot. That's what it's
Nightbot.
called.
There you go.
Yeah. Usually we have to install them, but now we're getting to the point where the bots just show up for free. So that's really cool.
Yes. Oh, and the bot spoke. The bot is actually Threshold Coffee. So one of our channel viewers, one of our regular ones, by the way.
Yay! Well, I thank you so much, man, for making such a funny account. We got a huge laugh out of that, for real. I was busting out laughing because I scrolled up and I was about to say, "Oh, it's a Cambot," and then I saw it, and it was the Enforcer store. I was like, "No way!" But anyways, I thank you so much for that. That was hilarious, and we're gonna move on to the next question.
All right. And next up, we have a $5 donation from Nathaniel Smith, who says, Slava Ukraine.
And Slava Ukraini. And with that, I thank you so much for the support. It helps us out a lot. And of course, we're greatly appreciative and thankful for it. And with that, we're going to move on to the next question.
And up next, we have a question from our live chat from Woody Stems, who says, has there been any confirmation of the reports that Russia is recruiting reconstruction workers and then forcing them to become soldiers and cannon fodder?
I have not heard about that story. I don't really focus a lot on Russian conscription stories because there's not really a lot of proof to either say they're true or false. It's just like a single headline that's coming out of Russia, and there's not a lot of evidence to back it up because, as far as I'm concerned, by and large, unless if it's video evidence of something burning in Russia, there's not really a way to verify anything that comes out of there because there's a lack of information right now. So sadly, I haven't heard about that, and I can't really testify to whether it's true or not based off of the evidence we've been able to get. But I thank you very much for the support. I hope that did answer the question at least a little bit. And with that, we're on to the next one.
And up next, we have a $5 donation from Act Zero, who says, hi, Enforcer and Matt. I'm glad to be back again. And hi, Leaf Spring Army. My father is a veteran of Slovenia Independence War, and we appreciate the coverage a whole lot.
Well, I thank you so much for the support, and it's really cool that we do have a lot of viewers that have worldwide backgrounds, international backgrounds, and international viewers as well, just like you and your dad who fought in the Slovenian Independence War. Just for some of y'all who do not know, Slovenia is right here. Ljubljana, which I believe is the correct way to pronounce the name of y'all's capital, sorry if I did butcher that, is actually part of the former nation of Yugoslavia, which is an interesting country in its own right. And I'd highly suggest if y'all want to learn something about Cold War politics, Yugoslavia is probably one of the most interesting countries because it was communist, but not really. And it wasn't in the Eastern Pact really at all. So it's very interesting history, and also what happened after Tito died was insane, and also probably one of the bloodiest wars that was ever seen in the later part of the 20th century. So with that, I thank you so much for the support, and it's wonderful to hear that even folks in Slovenia are enjoying these streams, and I hope that we're able to continue our usual steady coverage over the next few weeks and months if we have to. But with that, I thank you once again, and we're going to move on to the next question.
And it looks like up next we have a $5 donation from T. Rose, who says, do you think Ukraine could utilize a special operations craft, riverine, or some type of patrol boat that was used in Vietnam?
That's a tough one because, I mean, like, they could, but the thing is that they wouldn't really be able to use them far. They could use them down here on the coastline, but then what purpose are they really serving? Because there's not really much for them to do. They can't go to Kherson because they most likely get destroyed by ground fire. And they would have very limited usage everywhere else, specifically on the Dnipro River, because there's not really much for them to do or to go. We have had that question before on stream, and I thought it was a pretty good idea. But when you really look at the usability of these boats, I would say that a tank, in terms of fire support, could do as much as these boats and also travel over a much larger area. So sadly, in my opinion, and of course it's just my opinion, so take it with a grain of salt, but I don't really think they would be too usable. But with that, I hope that does answer the question, and I thank you once again so much for the support. And with that, we are on to the next one.
And let's see, up next we have a $10 super chat from Wooden Spoke, who says, Slava Ukraine from Colorado, Enforcer, please don't use yellow as a marker. It does not make it easy to see, as I have limited vision.
Well, I'm very sorry about that. I will try and change that maybe because I don't really like the color yellow either. But I usually use yellow because it's about the only color I have that will stand out against a green background and stand out against red. I may try and find another color to use. That is a pretty good idea. But I will look into that, and I will see about making a fix so that way, I guess you're saying you may be colorblind, and if you are, so that way colorblind people, which there are a couple out there, I believe, in our viewer base who watch these streams, so that way y'all can see the markers a little bit better, because I'd hate to know that, everyone else is seeing the markers except for y'all. So I will try and find a change to that and make sure that y'all can see it as well. So with that, I hope that addresses your comment, and I thank you once again so much for the support. And with that, we're going to move on to the next question.
And up next, we have a $10 super chat from Bobo Uzala, who says, there's been a lot of chatter about taking out the Kerch Bridge. What can you tell us? And Slava Ukraine, spoken like the great President Zelensky.
Well, I thank you very much for the support, and Slava Ukraini. And to answer that question, the Ukrainians so far have gotten the plans to the bridge. Apparently, it's construction. Yeah, I guess that would be the best way to explain it. It's construction, it's layout, how deep the Kerch Strait is, where the bridge was built, where its supports are made, how thick are those. They've gotten all that information so far, which just came out on Monday. That's what these two markers are about in green. So it appears that the Ukrainians now have enough information to know what they need to hit on the bridge to destroy it. But the problem right now is that they still do not possess the weaponry to actually attack that bridge and destroy it. So right now they're still trying to find a way to acquire that, which will hopefully happen soon. But by and large, they still don't have the ability to attack the bridge, but now they have the know-how that if they ever get that ability, they will be able to take it out because they know about all of its weak points at this time. So with that, I hope that does answer the question, and I thank you so much for the support. And with that, we are on to the next one.
And up next, we have a $10 super chat from Junebug, the one without the 72 on the end, and does not leave a comment. So as always, Junebug, thank you so much for stopping by, and thank you for supporting the channel and what we do. So up next here, I am so out of kilter because the spreadsheet is all messed up. But let's see here. Up next, we have a $10 super chat from Jump for Joy, who says, "Hi and Slava Ukraine. Rather than target Kerch Bridge, why not go for the Savash Rail Bridge connecting Crimea from Kherson? It's an easier target and it's closer."
That is a good point. The one thing, though, is that if you destroy the bridge, the Armansk Bridge, which I'm assuming is somewhere around here, we can't see the railroad right here. That may actually be the bridge. The thing is that if you destroy that bridge while it has done damage, it's really attacking, I guess you could say, the capillaries of their supply routes instead of the actual artery. Because there's actually appears to be three major roads that come out of Crimea. We have the E105, we also have the E97, and then we have the T2202. And so there's three different roadworks alone that could supply that southern front if that rail bridge was to be destroyed. And so in that respect, it would be like attacking one of the capillaries. It would cause a little bit of bleeding, but it wouldn't really be enough to cause damage. On the other hand, if one was to destroy the Kerch Bridge, that would cause massive damage. First, the Russian Navy, well, really the Russian military as a whole, would have to figure out how to ferry supplies across the Kerch Strait by boat, which would really hinder the volume of supplies that could be transported at a single time. And on top of that, that is a major artery, like I've said before. All of these supplies, whether by rail or by vehicle, has to cross that bridge. And so if it's destroyed, you're attacking an artery of their supply network instead of a capillary like you would be at the Armansk Bridge. And it is closer, and I do believe it would cause some damage, but you would also have to attack the bridge on the T2202 as well, and I believe you would also have to try and find a weak spot, which there appears to be one right here, on the M18 to actually cause enough sizable damage to pretty much carry on the same effect as destroying the Kerch Bridge. So while it does make sense to attack a closer and easier to hit target, you would have to attack multiple different targets and multiple different bridges to try and get a similar result that may even be less potent than just destroying the Kerch Bridge outright. So thank you very much for the support, and I hope that does answer the question. And I think since they don't have an ability to attack the Kerch Bridge, that may be their next best option. So thank you very much for bringing that up. And with that, we're moving on to the next question.
And up next, we have a $17 super chat from Ben Andrews, who says, "Here are some coffee coins for the Enforcer team."
Well, I thank you for the coffee coins. We will stick those into like the Chuck E. Cheese vending machines, and some coffee will just pour out in like our mouths, maybe in bean form. But with that, thank you so much for the support, and it does help out our channel a load. And with that, we are on to the next question.
And up next, we have a $5 super chat from Little Dickens 2, who says, "Last night was not your fault."
Well, I thank you so much for telling us that, because I know it was out of our control. That's one thing I have to insist on, because it was out of our control. But at the same time, I'm glad that all of our viewers understand that as well, because we don't want you all to think that we're just lackluster or just being lackadaisical, because there are other streams out there, and I have seen them, on occasion, and they just run the streams whenever, I'm going to take like a break on Wednesday and Thursday, I'll come back Friday, maybe take another break Saturday, I'll cover this next Tuesday, and they do it like that, and then they just come up with random times. I'll do the one on Wednesday at 7, and the one on Monday at 4, and I'm like, wow, how in the world are viewers happy with that? Because if I was watching these streams full time, I wouldn't be happy with some kind of random schedule popping up all over the place, because like hell, it's a TV show nearly. That's how I think of this stuff. I have a time slot. My time slot is 10 p.m. Eastern time up until whenever the stream ends, because sometimes they end early, sometimes they end late. But still, I'm going to have my stream starting every single night at 10 p.m. Eastern time. And so when that didn't happen last night, that shattered me. And so while I know that it wasn't my fault, I still hated that it wasn't able to happen, because I know that people rely on this like a nightly television show. So with that, I thank you so much for the support, and I thank you very much for your understanding, and I hope you see where I'm coming from, and why, of course, it meant a lot to me that it wasn't able to come on. And with that, we are on to the next question.
And next up, we have a $3 super chat from DJ Phoenix, who says, "YNWA and never gives up Ukrainian soldier until success with glory and Ukraine Independence Day, God willing, and amen."
Well, thank you very much for the support. I don't know about the NWA part. I think you're talking about the rap group there. But I can talk a little bit about the second part. If Matthew could read that off to me, the part that's past the NWA piece.
Let's see. Just a moment. Let me see if I can get back to that one real quick. Okay, he said, never give up, Ukrainian soldier, until success with glory and Ukraine Independence Day, God willing, and amen.
And I would have to agree with that. Hopefully, the Ukrainians can push the Russians out soon. When I say soon at this point, just know that my timetable isn't weeks anymore. Soon is in months. But hopefully, they could be pushed back soon. It seems that in the southern front, near the deep, all the way from Donetsk to Kherson, they may be making a little bit of progress. So hopefully, that part of the front at least can be completely dissolved by the latter part of this year. So with that, Slava Ukraini. I'm going to have to get down that whole entire thing that Zelensky says, where he says glory to all the heroes who have fallen for the state, all that stuff. And then Slava Ukraini, because it's pretty funny. But with that, I thank you so much for the support, and we're going to move on to the next question.
And yes, for anybody wondering, that was the corgi in the background. If you heard that barking, that was Mr. Corgi. Somehow he has gotten loose. He is on the run, and he might be out for trouble. So there's no telling what's going on out there, but hopefully he's all well. And you got to hear Mr. Corgi for the first time, if you actually could hear that. So let's see here. Up next, we have a $5 super chat from JP Rendiers, who says, the rest of my money is for Denis Davidov.
Well, I thank you for the support, and I've been hearing a lot about Denis Davidov. A lot of people have been wanting me to bring him on, and I think that here in the future, we might try and bring him on as a guest star as well. I haven't really been able to see his analysis a lot, just because I spend so much time working on my own stuff, but I will see about maybe bringing him over as a guest star as well, and maybe we can shoot off ideas with each other. And so with that, I thank you once again so much for the support, and we're going to move on to the next question.
And up next, we have a $5 donation from Super Action General, who says, we have Professor Mortar and Moscow Mike merch, but when will we get Mr. Lunchtime and Don merch?
Oh, Don merch. Yikes.
So I will say a note on that. We actually have had Mr. Lunchtime on a shirt before. I think it was like the second to last run. I can't remember. Was it the second to last run? I think
that it was.
Yes, but we haven't had Don merch, and that's actually still on the brainstorming list.
But one thing that we are going to do is that we're going to roll back our limited edition merch runs. Instead of being every other week, we're going to do one a month. So just letting y'all know that, because we want to make sure that the limited edition merch is actually pretty neat and hyped up, kind of like Nike shoes in a way, because we don't want everyone to get burned out on multiple limited edition runs. But with that, I thank you so much for the support, and I hope that does answer the question. And with that, we're on to the next one.
And up next, we have a $5 super chat from Smudgy Guide, who says, hi, Leaf Spring Army, I'm from the UK, and can finally send a super chat, so yay. I love this channel and Slava Ukraine.
Well, I thank you so much for the support, and it's always cool to hear that we have a lot of viewers from the United Kingdom. Of course, great country. I have been there. Some of my viewers believe that I hate the British, but just for y'all to know, DNA-wise, I'm 90% British. Everyone's always joking, Americans always go over to Britain, and they say, oh, I'm like, my dog was half Irish or something like that, which has nothing to do with them, and then they act like they're British. Somehow, through hundreds of years of my family living in the United States, I took one of those spit DNA tests, and it turns out I'm 90% British Isles, 76% English. The remainder of it was like 20-something% Welsh, and then the rest of it was Scottish and Northern Irish. So literally, all the United Kingdom, there was almost no actual Republic of Ireland stuff in there whatsoever. And then the remainder of my DNA is actually Swedish. I don't know where that came from in the family, but we do have a really interesting history. And it is, of course, really cool for me to be 90% British. So, honestly, I may be more British than some British people, but it is cool to hear that we do have viewers over there in Britain, and it's always wonderful to get support from y'all. And, of course, this is an actual normal time of day for y'all over there, something in the afternoon right now, late afternoon. And so I hope you are enjoying this little short stream. It's not necessarily the news, but it is still a stream nonetheless. But I do thank you once again for the support. And also, it's wonderful to be British, eh? Just that, just in jest, but thank you once again, and we're going to move on to the next question.
And just for anybody that might have just hopped into the stream and wondering what is going on, just to recap one more time, this is just our fireside chat stream to make up for last night. We're going to get to our news tonight during our usual stream. So just to let you know, you aren't missing out on anything right now. We aren't going to go over any news at the moment, and we'll cover all that tonight. So with that being said, as the enforcer loves to say, we are on to our next super chat, which is from D. Shaw, who puts in a $20 donation and does not leave a comment.
And I thank you so much for the support, Shaw. Let me make sure I got that correct. Yep, that's Shaw. I thank you so much for the support, Shaw. You've been around forever, and it's wonderful to know that we still have a large amount of support from our viewers. And just for some of y'all to know, because I have seen some people saying, show the news. The news will be run tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern time. Just letting y'all know, we will be going over the news, but this is to make up for last night and explain what happened, and also just conversate with everyone for a little bit. So with that, we're going to move on to the next question. And once again, thank you so much for the support, D. Shaw.
And next up, we have a $5 super chat from Mel Cortez, who says, "Thank you, Enforcer, for all you do. I'm very new to your channel, and the accurate news is amazing. So Slava Ukraine."
Well, I thank you so much for the support, and of course, I'm greatly appreciative of all of the new viewers that we've gotten, along with our old ones who do enjoy what we do here on this channel. We're going to try and expand this out beyond the Ukraine war here soon, and something that's in my mind, which may not happen, is that we're going to be uploading a video on something rather than the war weekly. You probably have the videos released on a Monday or every other week, so about 2 videos a month. So that's what we're thinking right now. Hopefully that would be possible, but at the same time, I don't know if I'll have the time to come up with that kind of content and then create it in time for a stream to go up weekly. So it may be a twice a month thing at the moment. But with that, I thank you so much for the support, and I'm glad that you do enjoy our content and the quality of it, and hopefully this quality can carry over into our new projects that we'll be trying to carry through soon. And so with that, we're going to move on to the next question, and I thank you so much once again for the wonderful support, both verbally and also in a way that'll help our channel keep going. And with that, we're on to the next one.
And let's see here. I just saw Praise Adonai ask, "Did you get the support from last night?" And yes, we did. And Praise Adonai, since you are here, I have your super chat from last night, which we will go over right now if you're okay with that. And like I told Kaltenberg earlier, if you want us to go over it again during the normal stream, we can do that as well, so that way it's fair to you. Praise Adonai put in a $25 super chat last night and said, "Enforcer Matt, please help us. We are here without our leader. You have to come back."
Well, I thank you so much for the support, Praise Adonai, and of course, the great leader, which sounds so weird, but I will never leave. This war news will be covered until the very end of this war. Unfortunately, we did have massive issues last night. We did put out a community post outlining why, which it was YouTube server issues on their end, which didn't allow our stream to go live, but we will run these streams until the war ends. And so I promise you, I will be on here, and I don't like to think of myself as a leader. I just like to think of myself as a person who covers the war news, and a lot of people appreciate how I cover it. But, of course, I will take the praise, and I thank you once again for the support, and I hope that I do have your vote in the 2040 presidential election. And with that, we're on to the next question, and I have to thank you once again for your support.
And up next, we have a $5 super chat from Koala Resistance, who says, "Is Ukraine fighting an American Revolution / Winter War type, or is Russia fighting a Vietnam / Soviet Afghan war? Is there any war comparable?"
I would say that the most comparable war, at least in the strategies that are being used by the Russians and the Ukrainians, would be the Winter War. The Ukrainians are trying to minimize their casualties in this defensive war, and the Russians are throwing everything they have at it, and they're losing almost everything. So I hope that answers the question. I'm going to have to try and keep them brief now because we're running seriously overtime, and we do have a lot of things that we have to get to today, and we also have to get ready for tonight's stream as well. So I hope that does answer the question, and I thank you very much for the support, and with that, we're on to the next question.
And next up, I want to recognize a $3 donation from Junebug, a $2 donation from JK, and let me check here. I think we are good. Those were sent without any comments, so thank you very much for your support, as always. And next up, we just have a few left, by the way, and then we're going to get to a couple of live chat questions if we can real quick. We have a $20 super chat from Loy Wen, who says, "Thanks for the great content every single day. My question is, don, 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 don.
Dun, 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 dun. And I thank you so much for the support, and I'm glad that you do enjoy the content that we put out daily. We try our best to make sure it's high quality, and of course, covering pertinent news. And so I'm very appreciative that you do enjoy it. One thing that's very surprising to me, Matthew, is you and me talk around about live audiences and such things like that. And if you look at how many people are on right now in the middle of the day, which isn't our normal broadcasting time, we are still doing fairly good, which is really impressive to me that Elite Spring Army has such like a cohesive thing about it that a large amount of y'all will still get on in the middle of the day, which I didn't expect. But with that, it's wonderful to see. And with that, we're going to move on to the next one.
Yes, and the Leaf Spring Army is like the men/women. They are here at a moment's notice, and they are very loyal Leaf Spring followers as well. And as always, Slava Leaf Springs and Slava Ukraine. So, with that being said, we're on to our next one. We have a $5 super chat from Khan Azor, who says, "Here's some funds for tea and crumpets."
Well, I thank you so much for the support for the tea and crumpets. Of course, we always enjoy a little bit of British food. And while the British are not known for their food, I don't know why the French are at all. Like they have escargot, which is just snails. And I mean, like the French have a lot going for them, but I don't think escargot is one of those things. But the British do have great food. If you've never had it, try out the pasty. I know it sounds a lot like pasty, which is something else that's very, I guess you could say, adult in nature. But the pasty is like a pastry that comes from Cornwall, and it's filled with like meats, onions, and potatoes. And it's absolutely delicious. It's incredible street food, I guess you could call it. And they sold it a decent bit in the like road chef like rest stop things that you pull over to in Britain, everywhere, and they were wonderful tasting. So I highly suggest that y'all try out different kinds of British food that aren't just sweet. There's a lot of good salty food in Britain as well. Shepherd's pie is one of them, and I think there's ale house, but there's a whole bunch of pies. They make a lot of pastry kind of stuff with meat in it. So I hope that addresses the comment, and of course, I thank you for the tea and crumpets fun. And with that, we're on to the next one.
So next up, we have a $2 super chat from Ryan Miller, who says, "Leaf Spring Army any day, anytime, any place." And yes, Ryan, we did just actually cover that. The Leaf Spring Army can be here pretty much at any time of the day, and that's absolutely incredible because, like the Enforcer just said, our viewership is higher than we anticipated, really.
Yeah, and it's higher than it still, even right now in the middle of the day with just our most dedicated viewers getting on pretty much, we still have more viewers than most streams do that cover this war, which is still unbelievable to me. And that's something that every once in a while Matthew and me talk about behind the scenes. We're like, isn't it crazy how like we have this many viewers versus like other people? But of course it's insane, and I think that's a huge attribute to the Leaf Spring Army and what we are and what we do. And also the amount of work that Matthew and me put into this to try and deliver the news, because I can't think of any channels out there who actually go through the effort of making their own maps and adding their own stuff to it. I see most channels using public maps that have been made for other people or made just for the whole world, and then they just roam through Twitter and Reddit and stuff like that, which, honestly, in my opinion, anyone could do. But with that, I thank you so much for the support once again, and Leaf Spring Army, anywhere, anytime, any place, and we're always winning. And with that, we're on to the next question.
And next up, we have a $2 super chat from Scott McRoscoe Gillen, who says, "Maxim Shuramet builds drones for war, and donate, please."
And do you mean donate his super chat?
I think he meant like donate to them. I think that might be a group.
Oh, okay. We will look into it. Of course, we usually donate directly through our Sunday fundraisers, usually chipping $100 every Sunday ourselves, and then also encourage everyone else to do the same. Of course, everyone knows that. But we will look into that, and if it is possible, we may try and support them off stream. But with that, I thank you so much for the support, and I hope that does answer the question. And with that, we're on to the next one.
And it looks like that was our last super chat for this stream. So, once again, thank you everybody for your support. And we do have one more live chat question that I have here before we're going to have to get off for the moment, so that way we can get prepared for our nightly stream. And it is from Zach Jeffers, who I think actually already got off the stream. So that's unfortunate, but I'll ask it anyway, because I'm sure a lot of people wonder about this. So Zach said, Enforcer, are there going to be any guests on the live stream tomorrow during the fundraiser?
That's something we're not really sure about yet. Starsky and us, Starsky and me, while he's been shouting us out a lot, we don't really talk a lot during the middle of the week. One, because I'm so busy that it's hard to really talk to anyone. You can ask the Discord mods about that. I hardly even talk to them. But it's something that I don't really know about yet. Usually Starsky would be the one to come on. There may be no one on tomorrow, depending on Starsky's schedule, and it may just be Matthew and me again. But we will be trying to get Denis Davidov on, because I've about had it with hearing everyone ask for him on, and we'll bring him on so that we can, of course, have him on it. I've seen a little bit of his content, not a lot of it, but I am impressed with the quality and what he does and what he covers in this war as well. So I will see about having him on, and a lot of people want him on, so it's something, of course, in high demand. So we will see about that. And with that, we're on to the next one.
And that was actually our last live chat question for the moment. And for the remaining super chat questions that we have, in case nobody heard it earlier, we are going to cover the rest of those tonight, so that way we can get an answer on our normal stream.
I'll answer one more question from the live chat before we go, and it's from Jari East, or Yari East. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be pronounced as a Y, but he says Demolition Ranch, and to that, I don't know. I mean, like, that is an affiliate of the Funker 530 stream, I believe. Or it's Kentucky Ballistics. I forgot which one's the affiliate of Funker stream. But we haven't really heard much about that. And we don't really hear much from the Funker 530 team in general. So, we might, but I don't really think that's close up on the list of things right now. Also, I'll answer one more from, let's see, Zach. Who says, if Ukraine would try to get Crimea back, how far do you think Putin would go to defend it? Announce mass mobilization, nuclear strikes? I think mass mobilization would be the furthest they would go, and then that would drag on the war to a point that it would just become a bloody stalemate, and both sides would most likely come to a peace agreement where the Ukrainians would most likely agree not to take back Crimea, for the most part. So I hope that answers the question. And with that, we have reached the end of our fireside chat. I thank you all so much for coming. Of course, this was a little bit weird, but of course, weird times produce weird things. And so we did have to run one today because there was no stream last night at all. I thank you all so much for watching once again. It's always an honor to know that we have overwhelming support from our viewers and that everyone appreciates the efforts we go through to report on this war every single day, and hopefully the projects that we'll be endeavoring into here in the near future. I thank you all once again, and I will see you all tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern Time to cover day 115 of the war. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you all for now, and we will have to go to make sure that that stream can be ready for tonight. Thank you all once again, and I'll see you all then. Slava Ukraini!